I'd like to caution everybody that's watching this particular portion of our videos that we do. It's not politically correct and may be disturbing to some people, but that's the way my life was at that time. In Saigon in 1967, I'd reached a 3-year point of employment with the company, and I also qualified for 3 months of what they call home leave. And so I had been reading a lot of magazines and things I wanted to do, and one of them was a hunt. There was an ad in Field and Stream for safaris in India for tigers. This seemed like the thing that was really meant for me. As a child, of course, we ate off the trap line everything that fell prey to our spring traps, muskrat and raccoon and everything else. We ate them. We didn't waste them. They weren't thrown away at all. But the thought of hunting something that could hunt you was appealing to me. And so when the time came, we left Saigon with our daughter, and I left her with a Chinese co-pilot's family in Bangkok and proceeded on the airline to Bombay, India. In between that time, I had purchased a rifle in Hong Kong, a .375 H&H Magnum, and it was a rather potent weapon. And surprisingly, back in those days, you could carry the weapon on the airplane with the ammunition, of course unloaded, but we traveled that way with that rifle and got to Bombay. Bombay was an interesting place, and it had a lot of various cultures there. And I enjoyed exploring some of these cultures. Some people didn't do things the way we did in the States. And this was a unique experience. But from Bombay, took the train to Nagpur, India. This is where this outfitter was living, or the guide, and was met on the train station by Rao Nagu. And he took us over to his house and met his wife and children. And the next day we got in a Land Rover and drove down to one of the hunting preserves. The English had hunting preserves there in India during their reign in power. And each one was about a 10 square mile block that you could hunt in. And you bought a license for the game that you wanted to collect. And I had a tiger license. This was in 1967, which was the last year that the tiger hunting was allowed in India. Once in this hunting preserve, we stayed in a house. The English built houses for their people to stay in during their time spent there hunting. And this was really nice. You had a cook, you had a laundry person, we had all kinds of people there, and there was a little village nearby that we went to, and learned there that a tiger had been taking some of their livestock, which this was a terrible thing for them. One of the villagers had shot at the tiger, but it ran off into the jungle. From there, we started scouting the area and sighting this rifle in. And I did not have a scope on it, but most of your hunting in the jungle is relatively close range. So you did not need a scope on the rifle. Sighted that in, and it was really a nice shooting weapon, except the recoil was brutal. It had a severe recoil, and I didn't have a recoil pad on the stock. But we started hunting, and we shot a sambar, which is like an elk, and wild pig, and even some of the wild dogs, which there was a bounty on because they were harassing the villagers' livestock in the field. This carried on for a few days until they baited a tiger. Now, the way they bait a tiger is take a calf and stake it out near a water source, a small stream, and hope that the tiger comes and avails himself of this snack. 2 days went by and nothing happened. On the third day, villagers came in and said the small calf had been slaughtered by a tiger. Once we knew the tiger was in the area, he usually filled his belly with the meat that he's killed and laid down and rested. So the villagers formed a line with pots and pans and things like that to beat him towards where we were going to be in a tree stand to shoot him. The tree stand was about 12 feet up in the air, and this gave you a view of the surrounding jungle and a good place to fire from. And if you didn't kill him, he would have a hell of a time getting up there to get you. Plus the guide, Rao, he had his rifle too. The beat is very exciting because you can hear them coming through the jungle, pounding on their pots and pans, and you got to be continually scouring the underbrush in front of you to see where the tiger is. And eventually he did show himself. And the guide, he didn't see it, but I did. And when you shoot an animal that is as ferocious as a tiger, you don't shoot to kill because you might not hit anything vital. You want to hit his shoulder, so you disable him. And I did. I caught him in the left shoulder. The bullet ricocheted off the shoulder bone and clipped the tip of his heart off. But this did not kill him. He roared and charged into a bamboo thicket. Now, you're not going to go into a bamboo thicket with an animal that size that's over 500 pounds and is really mad because you're taking your life in suicidal hands. Waited until you could hear him gasp his last and went in and retrieved the body. Took it back to their camp and laid it out in the yard there, and all the villagers came down the road to view this animal. And prior to skinning him, I posed with the thing too, and it's a magnificent animal. It's a shame he had habits that were so offensive to the people that were living around him, and a great danger to small children too. But he was 9 foot 9 inches long, and massive head on him, and teeth that were just really sharp and long. It kind of reminded me of the pictures of what they call a saber-toothed tiger in prehistoric times. And of course he was a descendant from that particular area. They skinned this tiger and sent the skin down to, and the head, down to Van Ingen and Van Ingen on the east coast of India to be cured, skin cured, and the head mounted, and I would have that as a trophy. Also, we collected a sambar, which was like an elk, and that head is still in Grand, Michigan in the garage, I think. The skin itself, I took down to New Zealand when we went down there, and left it with my daughter, who has since passed. And it is still there with her ex-husband. Thank you.